This is Katerin with VIVE Katerin. I'm here at the Atlantic Health Jets Training Center in Florham Park, New Jersey. We're here to kick off this year's 2013 Alliance Lupus Research Walk. So let's go in and check it out. I'm here with the president of ALR, Ken Farber. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Great to be here.
It's exciting kickoff now, right?
Well, you know, we're really thrilled. We think that we are going to raise a lot of money at our New Jersey walk. We think that the money we raise is going to flow very quickly to Lupus Research Laboratories, and we think those dollars are going to translate into real promise for people who have lupus.
Ken, let's talk about percentages. 85% of women between the ages of 20 and 40 go through lupus.
Well, let me see if I can put it into perspective for you. There are about 16,000 people in the United States every year newly diagnosed with lupus. 90% of those people are women. Women are much more likely to get lupus than men, although men do get it. 90% of the people who have lupus are women. Certain populations are at greater risk. So, for example, African American women have 3 times the rate of lupus than any other population in the world. So it's a disorder that has really profoundly affected the African American community. ALR is here to try to provide hope through research.
And it's 1.5 million in the U.S. and approximately 5 million worldwide. Is that still the same stats?
That's precisely right. You know, the only complicating factor is, yes, 1.5 million people in the United States diagnosed with lupus, 5 million people worldwide diagnosed with lupus, but the problem is so many women, especially who have lupus, don't know it yet. It's a very difficult disease to diagnose, and what that means is that there are probably millions of people walking around with lupus who don't even know they have it.
And why is it so difficult to diagnose? I mean, it has so many different faces.
There are blood tests for lupus. The problem is that no one blood test is definitive. The different tests that we have for lupus suggest the possibility of the disease, but there are women who have positive results who don't have lupus. There are women who have negative results who do have lupus, so it's complicated. It's a conundrum. One of the things ALR is working on is trying to develop better diagnostic techniques. If we could do that and lupus were an easier disease to diagnose, there wouldn't be so many people walking around who had the disease and didn't know it. It's a problem because, you know, you can't get treatment until you're diagnosed. So diagnosing people accurately is critical.
Through the research that's been conducted so far, what has been achieved?
Well, there have been a lot of major advances in lupus in the last, I would say, 15 years. One of the most exciting advances comes in the area of the complications of lupus. There are many complications of lupus: premature heart disease, kidney disease, pregnancy problems, a variety of different neurological complications. That's the bad news. The good news is that as a result of research, we're lessening the impact of many of these problems. So, for example, there was a time that women with lupus were routinely advised not to have children. Today, if a woman gets appropriate medical care, she can bring her baby to term with little more risk than the background population. That's an extraordinary advance. The likelihood of a woman with lupus developing heart disease is still greater than for women who don't have lupus, but it's much less than it used to be. That's also very important. So in the area of the complications of lupus, we're making a lot of progress. One other point I'd make to you that I think we can be very optimistic about is finally, at long last, we're developing new treatments for lupus. As everyone knows, the first new treatment for lupus in 50 years was approved by the FDA only a couple of years ago.
Ken, for those that have lupus, and for our viewers who may have family members that are going through it, how can we help them keep control?
Well, if a person has lupus, the single most important thing they can do is acquire all the information about the disorder that they can. Information is power. And getting women who have lupus all the medical information about their disorder that they can possibly get is one of our most important jobs. One thing we really encourage people who have lupus to do is to get in touch with the Alliance for Lupus Research. We exist for exactly one reason, and that's to help people who have lupus. People can call us at 212-218-2840. That's our number. They can email us. They can go on our Facebook page. They can look at our website. Through all those venues, we have the ability to reach out to people and get them the information that will make their lives with lupus at least a little easier to live.
Thank you very much. And if you could leave our viewers with an inspirational message.
Ladies and gentlemen, our goal is to cure lupus. There's a cure out there. Working together, we'll find it.
I'm here with Brenda Blackmon. Very exciting to see you.
Oh, it's so exciting to be here. And of course, this is actually the kickoff. So when we talk about looking up on that screen every year and seeing that it's just not long at all, of course, May being Lupus Awareness Month and then the kickoff being this year, May 18th. I mean, it's just going to be so exciting. And to see everyone get excited about trying to find a cure for lupus, because that is the one thing that gives us all hope.
Help our viewers understand more about lupus.
Well, for me, it's really a personal story because my daughter has lupus. We found out she had it when she was in college, and it came really close to home because, I mean, I was just one of those moms in denial. I mean, she was still going to do all the things that I wanted her to do. I mean, it's any mom's dream, right? But when lupus attacked her brain and she ended up in a coma, doctors were saying she wouldn't make it. I literally asked God to take my life instead of hers. And she made it through, though. And to know that lupus can be such a devastating disease. And even after they make it through one crisis, it just doesn't end there. I mean, even since then, she's continued to improve. I mean, her condition went from death's door to having to learn how to walk and talk again. She ended up having 3 knee surgeries later because of the effect of steroids. So life changes forever for the lupus patient and for the family. She's been in remission now for years, but she still has lupus. It's a chronic disease. It doesn't just go away. So every day the effects of that disease affect her.
And what about the symptoms? I mean, sometimes it has so many faces.
With every patient, it's different, and that's why it's so difficult to diagnose. For some patients, it may affect kidneys. They may have to end up going on dialysis. For the average person, when you get a cold, you get a cold, you get over it in a few days. If you have lupus, it may end up being the flu. It may end up landing you in the hospital. You might end up with with tuberculosis, for God's sakes. I mean, it just can affect you so differently. With lupus, it's an autoimmune disease, which means the body attacks itself.
Thank you very much for sharing your story and for always being a huge support for ALR. So thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to see you again. I'm here with Kyle. Very exciting, another year.
Definitely. Looking forward to a nice year.
How have you been involved this year with ALR?
Well, we started off today. Started off this year. Looking forward to the walk and the kickoff and everything coming up to it. Definitely had another opportunity to get involved, and it's just being here a few years, getting more familiar with it. It was something that I like to be a part of.
Absolutely. And what about your other team members? Can you tell us about how they get involved?
Sure. Hopefully we can get some at the walk. Donating time or anything we can do. A lot of guys are real big in the community, especially for things like this. But it kind of depends on time. But most guys are really into the community.
You cut your hair.
Yeah. Yeah. I just did it a few days ago, actually.
Yeah,
so
I love it. I love it. You look great. You look great.
Look a lot younger.
Well, good. You look great, and it's great to see you. And thank you so much again for your support this year for ALR.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm here with Judith Mills. How are you today?
I'm doing well, by the grace of God.
I'm very excited that you're here and that you came out to show support to ALR today. I was very touched to hear your story. Can you share with our viewers your slogan of what really helps you get through?
As a track runner, a former track runner, when I was diagnosed with lupus, I realized I could no longer run anymore. It was hard to give up, but I had a strong mother who said, "Judith, you're still running, but a race called life." where it doesn't matter if you finish first or last, but how well you run the race with diligence and longevity. And that's what she told me, and I realized, Mom, you're right. I am running a race. And my race is not the one that's going to give me a gold medal, but it's going to be the race to save lives, because I'm going to share my story and let someone that's newly diagnosed know that, hey, I'm not alone in this. Somebody else went through it before me.